wow, you're so different than what I just saw on stage. They're probably thinking I'm some crazy lunatic.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
I feel my head under the water,
Vilivant, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Running on Empty is out soon. Does that mean that you've been doing a lot of new and more guerrilla marketing activities, like using grocery store intercoms to play your music?
Oh. Attention colleagues and customers. My name is Vilivant, it's spelled Vilivant, and I just released a new song called Drown. This is how it goes. You know, I'm going to play the whole album on the intercom. I'm sure the customers will love that. Yeah, well, a lot of different marketing ways to promote the album, of course. Like, we're trying to figure out different ways to promote it. I wouldn't say I would go through an intercom this time, but who knows?
A lot of the messaging, I think, if you look at the two singles that have been released at this point, pretty representative for what we see on the whole album. You know, you start off Drown with "You tell me what to do and how to act and how to feel, and nothing is real."
No.
You've been working at this for quite some time. You started young. Was that tough? Like, I mean, I assume that those sentiments come from your own experiences growing up in the industry. What was, before we look ahead at all the new stuff coming our way, what was that like for you, kind of finding yourself or growing up, quite literally, you know, but also trying to be a recording artist?
Yeah, so growing up, it was kind of tough just because even still, it's tough because being a female in like the rock genre, sometimes you're not taken too seriously because, like, females can't do rock music, like that whole stupid narrative that's been going around like forever.
Right.
But you know, I feel like nowadays, especially like the last 2 or 3 years, a lot of like female fronted bands have been coming up and trying to break that. And there's a lot of amazing bands coming out that I truly like support and just like look up to. Like,
Right.
For example, Warning, which are like 3 sisters. They're fairly young and they're all like really great musicians, and they have a rock band too. So it's great. But you know what, growing up, I always loved rock music. My family, like, I grew up listening to like Boom 97.3, which is a 80s rock station here in Ontario. And I just loved rock music. And the one band that really got me started with, like, I guess started to experiment with rock music was Heart, and also like Halestorm. I remember when I first heard Halestorm, I was like, holy man, like, this woman can really scream and like sing. And that was my first time that I actually heard like a female fronted band with like more like gritty kind of vocals. And that's something that I definitely looked up to and still look up to. And I definitely take a lot of like inspiration from, you know, the Halestorms, the Pretty Reckless, Dorothy, and, you know, Diamante, like a bunch of like great, amazing female-fronted rock bands, and take that and kind of put it into my own sound, but also adding my own original flair to it as well.
You know what's best for me. You keep on bringing me down.
You know, I address you as Vilivant, name of the whole band, name of you as the solo artist. We both know that that's not your given name. So is there still a line between the private person and Vilivant? I know that you spoke in the past about having to overcome stage fright, and that was a big win for you. Is there still a line between the person I'm talking to now and Vilivant that we see on stage, or is that become quite blurry now?
Yes, there is a difference, and I'll tell you why. So Vilivant is a stage persona. It's not my real name, obviously. It's a character I put on. So when you see me on stage, I am more reckless, more in your face, more like not hesitant to jump into a crowd, that type of person. But if you're talking to me like now, I'm I'm a shy person. I'm actually very reserved. I don't really go out of my way to speak out about certain things. I'm very, quiet. So when it's funny because when people see me live, they're like, "Yo, wow, you're so amazing!" And then when they come and see me in person, like after a show, talking to me like face to face, they're like, "Wow, you're so different than what I just saw on stage." They're probably thinking I'm some crazy lunatic like off stage, but I'm just it's just the difference is because I put on like a persona when I'm performing.
I think one of the songs kind of starts with, "I won't say that I'm fine," and maybe that's like a nice wrap up for the whole album. You seem to deal with a lot of negativity, and cleaning out your closet maybe to some extent. Depending on which song we listen to the lyrics of, the antagonist in the story is not. Sometimes it sounds like the antagonists are people you have to deal with, but other times maybe yourself as well at times. Is there some truth to that?
Yes, because honestly, I feel like everybody experiences their own personal demons. Always trying to put yourself down. All like a bunch of negative thoughts that you get sometimes, and the songs that like I wrote, for example, "Drown" is one of them, which is already out. "Narcissistic Entity," "Moving Forward," and a bunch of other songs that you'll hear on the album for those who've never heard it yet. Those songs experiment with the whole like heartbreak and trying to find yourself kind of in the mess of like what the world is right now. And when I'm writing music, I like to take other people's experiences and what they've dealt with in life and write about that, and also write about my personal experience, which is like my personal experience. I can't even say the word experiences. There it is. Experiences. I find like a lot of the time, especially in, like I said, the rock genre, you get a lot of like haters saying that, oh, females can't do rock music. So a lot of that comes from that as well. And it's just kind of writing about like what is happening in the world right now and the negativity that's happening in the world right now. There's not a lot of positive energy right now. I'm sure everybody can kind of feel that. So trying to write about something that's relatable to what's, everybody's kind of feeling these days.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned there's not a lot of positive energy, but the interesting part then is that there's a discrepancy, many cases on your album, between the message, but then the feeling of a song. Because a lot of the songs are upbeat rock songs. Like let's take one of the singles, "Running on Empty." You can dance to that song and have a good time. But sure, if you were to read the lyrics in your daughter's diary, well, you shouldn't read your daughter's diary, but whatever, you might be like, oh, she's not in the best spot right now. Is that a fun challenge to still package up these emotions or these sentiments in just fun rock songs?
Yeah, you know what? When it comes to lyrical content, a lot of the songs, and you probably, like you said, you kind of went over the lyrics and you kind of know what I'm talking about every song. But when you read the lyrics, a lot of them, like for example, "Running on Empty," I wrote that like in the beginning of COVID 2020 when everything was locked down. And at the time, I wasn't really sure what was going to happen with my career. I'm sure a lot of musicians could relate to that, right? Like we didn't know what was happening, well, if we could even perform again ever. So it was that kind of thing. And also staying at home a lot, being locked down in your house, like for, consecutive days, it just got to me, right? And I felt like at the time I was running on empty. And so I didn't really have any inspiration to write about anything until the phrase "running on empty" came to mind when I was like quite literally running on empty. And I'm like, you know what? Let me write about that. And so if you look at the lyrics, like that's kind of what I'm saying throughout the song, I've been loved and used, exchanged, and brought back to be abused. Where is my love? I can't get a hold of. I'm just kind of like reaching for something. And so, that's what the song is about. though the lyrical content might be a little bit, you know, kind of depressing, the actual instrumentation, I wanted to be like a fun punk rock song, you know, so it's not so depressing.
Yeah, not to then forget what I can only imagine you had some embarrassingly fun times creating the video where you're running away from aliens and all that kind of good stuff. So what was that like?
Oh my god, that video is so much fun to make. It was funny, but not so much funny at the time, but it's funny looking back at it because I didn't know this was gonna happen, but the day that we shot it, it was like the hottest day of the year. Of course, it has to be. And I'm wearing, you know, this like really tight white dress, stockings, these like really hot big ass boots and stuff. And my cousin, who I hired for, he played the alien. I felt so bad for him because he had to put on this latex mask. He couldn't breathe in it. He had to put on these latex gloves. He had to wear like thick ass workout pants and like a crew neck sweater, or not crew neck, the turtleneck sweater.
Yeah.
And so he was sweltering, and we had to do his shots like really, really fast. Like, so basically when we had to film the alien parts, he would put on the mask, do a shot like 5 seconds, take it off, take like a 20-minute break to sip some water, you know, dry yourself off, and then put the mask on again, and then do like a 5-second clip, and then take it off again, and then like rest for 20 minutes. Like, it was sweltering and brutal, and I feel bad. I felt bad for him, but he did an amazing job. Nick, if you're watching this, thank you. But yeah, that video was so much fun to make. And like when I was first kind of like writing ideas for the music video, I always wanted to make, for some reason, a video that's related to aliens. Like, even though the song itself is not about aliens at all, I wanted to make something fun. Like I said, like I wanted to kind of like balance out the, oops, I don't know what happened. Okay, balance out the seriousness of the song with something funny. So that's why I did that.
All right, so kudos to your cousin, but we have to give an honorable mention as well to the acting chops of your band. Because I mean, especially the what the fuck face that your bass player makes at the end of the video, I think is pretty epic. Like, how many takes did it take for your band to play those, you know, heroes in distress role? Let's describe it as that.
You know what? I think it only took like 3 takes. It didn't take a lot of takes. They were like pretty in character. Like, I was very impressed.
You said earlier, like, you know, interesting to like experiment and play with sounds as I'm writing. And I could be wrong, but I think that you used those exact words on, I mean, we see you pretty active on social media with video shorts and what have you. And I think that you were talking recently about experimenting with sounds. And I think one of the latest ones that you posted, at least when we're having this conversation, was like a very specific acoustic rendering that almost made it sound like you were creating music for a spaghetti western, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Are there stuff that you've played around with that you're like, you know, I really need to do something with this, even whether or not it will end up under the Vilivant brand, but should we expect some more creative output from you in the near future?
Oh yeah, like, though I do love rock music and that's my like main genre, I love to experiment with different things. Like, for example, one of my favorite like modern bands is Muse. I love Muse. They experiment with so many different genres of music, classicals, like that Western thing they did for a while, and then like hard rock and metal. And that's kind of like what I like to do too. Like, though rock, yes, that's my main genre, punk rock, whatever. I do like to experiment with like a lot of industrial stuff too, like 9 Inch Nails, Filter. I like to experiment with like acoustic stuff, like ballads.
When it's all said and done, and you hate what you become.
I like to do like a lot of piano ballads too, because piano actually is my first instrument. So I like to experiment with that and write a lot with the piano. And even like some pop stuff. Like I wrote some like cool pop songs before, but under the Vilivant name, there's a song. There's a song that we haven't released yet, but me and my guitar player wrote it, and it's called. Actually, I'm not even gonna put the title out there, but it's basically about a guy being abducted by aliens. So, and there comes the aliens again. But the way the instrumentation is, it's very much like space like. When you hear it, you're like transported to space. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what genre that is, like space rock, or I don't know what that is. But I'm experimenting a lot with like that kind of like not psychedelic, but space rock kind of vibe. I don't know what the genre is. Maybe I made up another genre, but yeah.
I assume that we will unfortunately not get to hear those experimentations when you're gonna go on tour real soon, because you do have a new album to promote. You've released some Canadian dates. I'm looking forward, obviously, to your show in the Rivoli downtown Toronto. What can we expect from your tour?
Holy, so the tour, actually, I'm gonna go back to what you said about you're not gonna expect experimental things. You are. There's a couple things in there in my set that are a little bit experimental. That's not kind of like what the main audience would be used to. So that would be a fun surprise. Basically, for the live shows, I'm going to be playing the whole album, obviously. And we're going to do a cover of a classic song. I'm not going to name the name of it, but it's a song that everybody should know. And if you don't know, shame on you. It's a great song. And then, yeah, basically that's like the whole album, some of my old songs, the ones that already were released a couple of years ago, and just a fun punk rock show. Get in your face and, let's party it up.
Okay, so a classic is being covered. We know you're a very big Wilson Sisters fan, so maybe we have to look in that direction. See how good is your poker face right now.
It's funny that you say that because I actually did cover Barracuda by them in like past shows, but I'm not doing hard this time. I'm doing something different. So it's not hard.
All right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see when you play these shows. Vilivant, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I'm looking forward to the release of your album, and like I said, can't wait for your show in Toronto. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the best with this release.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.